on Monday, and today I want to talk to you about one of the topics that I have been coaching very frequently recently. And the topic is how not to be emotional during debates or during meetings or during advocating for the cause in the workplace, right? And by emotional, my clients often tell me the way that they feel is they feel very angry as they're discussing something, or they feel defensive as they're discussing something, or they feel like going from extremes of either being very emotional about something or not saying anything and people pleasing, right? So this is the emotional definition that they use, and therefore what can we do to have that healthy debate that we actually want to have, or that we want to be very professional and saying the things in the way that is not sounding too emotional or not sounding like we are trying to contain our emotions, suppressing our emotions so that we can say the words, right? So, what can we do about it? This is a topic that I want to talk about today. So, I will give you several examples from my clients and myself as to how it looks like and what is the impact of it on the conversation as we're having it, right? And why do we not want to have that oftentimes? And sometimes it just, we can't help it, right? But as much as possible, we want to not come off as emotional or not come off as defensive or angry, and therefore, what can we do about it? So, a couple of examples that I want to give you to highlight how it could look like, right? So, one of my amazing clients was recently telling me in our session that she feels like she is now taking over in her new assignment from someone else, and as they have discussion with her predecessor about certain things, or they go to meetings, and then the other person is saying something and she's saying something, and she just feels like the other person might have something against her, even though there's nothing, but she just feels this. The other person is trying to show off or trying to like intervene in certain discussions or decisions, even though the predecessor is already leaving, right, or about to leave. But she feels like she has this reaction of like anger and that she needs to contain, even though she's not really showing this to others, but she needs to contain, right? And when she wanted to, for instance, talk about certain positions of the organization, and she wanted to cite and explain this is the position of the organization to everyone else, but the way that she feels like she's saying is like feeling a bit emotional about it instead of just being very calm and saying, "This is the organization's position, and this is what we can do. This is what we cannot do, and this is just how it is," right? And she wants to feel like she wants to be able to do that, but she feels like she can't do that. Another example that I was coaching another client recently about how she made the decision as a manager on the interview process. She made the decision, and then like with the panel and everything, and then she sent the decision to another, like to the HR for finalizing the process. But then her decision was returned, right? And her decision was returned by the management, saying that we need another, the second candidate or the second choice, and we need more justification for why and how you have made this decision. And then she did it again. She justified and sent it, and then this was returned again, like for several times. And then she feels so angry about it, right? She feels so angry that and when we're discussing why she felt angry, she just feels that whenever other people contradict her, she just feels so angry. And this was also, you guys, my own story that I like. I used to feel so angry when other people contradict me, or when other people question what I was saying, or my decisions, right? And it doesn't even matter who it was. I would just be so angry. And especially in meetings where I'm saying something and someone else says that, no, this is not going to work, or this is not possible, or what you're saying is wrong, or whatever it is, I would just automatically feel this anger boiling up within me, right? And what happens when we do this, right? When we bring this level of reaction to the conversation, what happens then is it's so difficult then to have a healthy debate or discussion, meaning that where we, by healthy, I mean when we are discussing only the topic itself instead of making it mean about myself or about someone else, right? It's so difficult to do that because we as humans are so attuned to sense the tone behind it, right? We are so good at sensing that you are angry about this or you are defensive. We can sense it so much. And then when we sense it, we tend to automatically or even unconsciously start contradicting each other even more. So let's say that it's my situation, right? So I'm in the meeting with other people, and then let's say someone contradicts my decision, and then I am feeling this anger, right? And when I feel this anger, even though maybe I'm not showing it or I'm not saying it, but this is coming up in the voice I'm saying, it's coming up unconsciously, and other people can feel it. And then they may not really feel safe now to be continuing discussing it, or if they do, they may now have the need to increase their statement of I need to now even convince her more, or I need to even like raise my voice maybe, or I need to be even more emotional. And then when two people start being emotional about the situation, then it's no longer about the topic that we're discussing. It's about me and that person, right? So basically we have now let the conversation go off rail to making it mean about me and about the other person, right? And that's how the healthy conversations or the discussions cannot really take place, because now we are having the battle not about the topic but about us. Excuse me. Now, the consequences of that is that now I don't feel safe talking about this, because I'm now afraid that if I say or do something or continue it, then I can't contain my anger, for instance, right? And the other person may not feel safe either, and now feeling like, well, I can't really discuss this type of, excuse me, this type of conversations with this person because they can't take it, or they just make it so personal, or they just make it so emotional, and I can't really do that. And then either one of two extremes happen, right? They stop talking to me or raising these topics, or if they raise it, they make it in the way that sounds already emotional, already wanting to like defend their position. And therefore, while we are defending each other's position, basically, we're not really seeing all the pitfalls or all the ways that things could go wrong, or we are not able to then look at the situation like openly, honestly, in admitting maybe certain flaws that we are seeing in our own reasoning. We don't really admit those things because now we are in the situation of face saving, like some people would call it, right? Or in the situation of I need to be right, basically. And then when both sides come to the conversation as feeling I need to be right, then we start getting the personal battles instead of the topic that we want to move forward and go and serve the people that we want to serve, right? So as you can see that we don't often want to be in such situations, and we actually even recognize when we are in such situations where we're being emotional. I recognize when I'm having the conversation or the discussion with someone and I can feel that I'm feeling this anger, or I can feel this maybe defensiveness. And when I'm feeling that in that moment, I find it so useful rather not to continue that conversation, because I know that I'm not creating a safe space and environment for us to have that conversation, right? So if we now look at why we do that, right? Why do we have these emotional conversations, even though we're not wanting to be emotional in that conversation. We want to be having the healthy debate with other people. We want that environment where everyone feels safe to say what they want to say and how they want to say it. We really want that. That's the intention, right? That's really, we want that. But then when it comes to the actual situation, it's so often very difficult to um, create those conditions, right? And why do we do that? And the reason why we do that is because when we make it personal, we're basically feeling like we're being attacked, right? So it's no longer about the topic that we're discussing, but we feel like the other person is really attacking us instead of discussing the topic, right? And the reason why we feel attacked, if you think about it, so what might that be, right? Why do we feel attacked in that moment? Or why do we feel questioned? Or why do we feel that the other person has something against us, right? So if we take the first example of my client, I was asking her the same question. I was asking her, why do you feel like she has something against you? Right? She's the predecessor. She's about to leave. Why would she have something against you, especially the person that you don't know, right? And in some cultures, I feel like it's even maybe very prominent where we have been just programmed by society to not like the people we don't know, right? It's a bit like from evolution as well. We know that our survival brain wants to be like careful and cautious and not really be opening up or being fully ourselves in front of people we don't know, and we're very vigilant, right? So that's why there might be that socialization, of course, that many of us have been socialized, programmed to believe that we need to be careful and this is the person we don't know. So um, they, what if they have something against me, and maybe we have like previous history from other assignments in duty stations where we have not been accepted or like received from the beginning so well, or we haven't been really welcomed into the group, and we have been maybe excluded in some ways, and we have that healing that we haven't really done from the previous assignments, right? But the most important part that we need to know why we do this is because when we are feeling attacked or when we're feeling questioned, when we are feeling like anger or defensiveness, is when we are basically feeling like the other person shouldn't be doing this, right? This is the main reason oftentimes, is we either blame them or we think that they should not be acting this way. They should not be questioning my position. They shouldn't be doing this, returning my decision, or they shouldn't be saying this. Basically we are trying to control the other person's behavior by saying that if I'm feeling angry, if I'm feeling defensive, that means that I should, because you are attacking me and you shouldn't be, basically, right? Even though, again, as I said, that even though they may not have that intention to attack us, or they may not even have the intention to um, hurt us or anything, it's just the discussion of the topic may sometimes feels like this person has something against me, right? And in that moment, if we feel like the other person shouldn't be doing this, if the other person shouldn't be questioning my decision, they shouldn't be taking up time to discuss this when it's all clear. Or I remember like I used to be in a committee for approving financial aid for individual recipients of aid, right? Displaced people. I remember being in that meeting with partners and other people, and one of our program colleague, she used to speak. She used to say things like the words were perfectly fine, but the way that she would say it is like this kind of, right, like as if she's trying so hard to contain her anger, and then I would feel like, oh my god, what if she explodes and then she says things and then we'll all feel bad, and this atmosphere of tension. And then what oftentimes happen, then the next time I wouldn't want to go to that committee meeting because of the feeling of so much tension and feeling like battling, or like as if we're going against each other, kind of the feeling, instead of discussing the topic, right? So that's why whenever one person at least starts this feeling attacked, feeling questioned, feeling someone has something against, and then it makes this personal, then it becomes so difficult to have that, to continue that conversation. So therefore, if you are the person who's feeling this, right, including myself, I worked on this so much. If we are feeling like this shouldn't be happening, basically, this person shouldn't be behaving this way, ask yourself, why do you believe that? Why do you believe that the other person shouldn't be questioning you, shouldn't be asking questions, shouldn't be wasting time, or returning your decision? Why that? Why do you believe that that should be the case? Because we know that other people get to behave whichever the way they behave, right? So therefore, the first thing that I suggest for you to do is make this conversation that you are having about that conversation only, about the people that we're serving, and not about yourself or about the other person. This is the first thing that I suggest, that works beautifully, and it has worked so much in my own life, and I suggest to my people as well, that let's make this conversation not about myself, Asel being questioned for her decision, or about the other person, but about this topic and about the people that we want to serve, and how can we get this decision faster so that we can serve the other people. How can we make it about the people or about that you are serving, and not about me individually feeling attacked or the other person? That's the first thing. The second thing I suggest is work on yourself to find out, why do you feel attacked in that moment, right? Why do you feel attacked by this person? Why do you believe that the other person is attacking you? And why do you feel like you shouldn't be questioned? Because when I asked myself this question, I realized that this was coming from my parents, especially from my father, that I just took over his way of reacting to things, where he would never allow anyone to question his opinion, his decision. And I never wanted to be that type of person. I never wanted to be the person who would feel like my opinion is the best or the only right one, or my opinion is the smartest one, or whatever it is, right? Because in some ways, in that way, we're saying that I'm better than you, but that's not true, right? We are amazing individually, the other persons as well. We have all the best sides and the sides that are not maybe nice, but we, in that moment, comparing ourselves to the other person and feeling like I'm better than the other person, or I know better, or I know what is it? My position should be prevailing over the other, is not helpful in whatsoever manner. Even though we may know, like, we may know really better, or we may know like institutionally better or more, but still, just because us expecting the other person shouldn't be and couldn't be questioning our position is just not right, meaning that we can't really expect that, right? Because other people get to behave whichever the way behave. And if we keep expecting it, we are going to keep feeling attacked. And therefore, we're going to feel all of those emotions that we don't want to feel. Because when I used to feel all of those emotions of anger or this anxiety, I would then spend all of my energy on this, and then after that type of meeting, I wouldn't have any energy left for anything else, because I was trying to recover from all of those emotions, right? So therefore, recognizing that other people get to decide, like, do whatever they do, and we can control them, and we can't expect them to be not questioning us. Then we need to then work on the third thing, which is, why is it so painful? Right? That's the part that I have worked on it and I continue working on it, which is why that questioning, or why that behavior from the other looks like it's that person has something against us. And why is it so painful? Why do we feel so much emotions? Right? And my hunch is that somewhere deep down, we are still having the worthiness issue, or we're making it personal. And the reason why we're probably making it personal, that it's a personal attack, is still we're not somewhere secure in ourselves or in how we do things. We don't believe that we are someone who can actually have healthy conversations and debates without making it personal. We don't really believe that about ourselves. And therefore, when we are having this battle, it sounds like we are losing, or it sounds like we are personally losing in this battle, and therefore it feels so painful. And that's why that's the part that we need to work on to heal, to understand that um, other people get to question, and they may question, and that might be part of our work. And whether we make it so personal and so painful, it's up to us. And if we don't want to make it so painful and personal, then we need to start really not questioning our worthiness, really not questioning our ability to have healthy conversations, and really embody being that person who actually makes this topic and the discussion only about the topic and not making it personal, right? So therefore, these are the three aspects that we can really work on and apply. And as soon as I have realized for myself, at least, that it's not personal. This is the topic that I were discussing. It's about the people that we want to serve, and it's not that person is trying to attack me, because in the conversation there are no such words that are attacking me. It's just myself taking it as I shouldn't be questioned. This person is questioning me, and that has such a emotional weight to it that makes it so much more painful for me. And it has to do with a lot with my history, right? With how I took it over from my father's attitude, as well as how I used to have this worthiness issues, believing that I'm not worthy, or believing that I'm not secure, or I can't lose, and if I lose, that means I lose my face, or whatever these attachments to these concepts, right? Attachments to not feeling worthy, and all of this makes it so much more painful. So that's why, my dears, I really, really want you to look at how are you reacting currently in situations where you actually want to react in a healthy way, or you react in a way that's not very emotional, but you want to, and not to react extremes of either being very angry about something, or defensive about something, or not saying anything at all, but rather wanting to find that middle, right? If that's you, then it's time for us to make it only about the topic and the people that we're serving, and not about ourselves or the other person, and not expect that we can't ever be questioned, but rather getting curious as to how are we being questioned, and what are the aspects of our decision is being questioned, what can we do about it, and having that conversation around it, right? So that we can also admit where the flaws of our decisions, or where the flaws of our thinking behind, maybe that we can collectively have a look at it. And the third is, if it's coming from my opinion or decision is the only right one, or what I know is the right one, and everyone else has it wrong, or whatever, then we need to start questioning why we have that attitude, or why do we have that belief about ourselves where it feels like a bit that we are above than others. And as soon as we go to we are above than others, then again, we create a lot of frictions and we make that, and that comes from feeling not worthy. And as soon as we embrace that we're all worthy, and as soon as we embrace that we have no worthiness issues to heal, then it all becomes so much easier to handle. It doesn't become very painful, and it becomes something that is a debate to be had or the discussion to be had instead of personal attacks to be solved. So, this is what I really wish for you, and I really invite you to work with me on this because I know that this is something that I have been helping so many of my clients to work through and heal, and also embrace their worthiness and feeling secure and safe to be saying things, to be debating for the sake of betterment of that topic, for the sake of serving the people better instead of making it personal. So have a beautiful week, and I hope I will hear from you about your questions or specifically about wanting to get coached on this topic. I would love to help you with this. Have an amazing week. Talk to you very soon.